well, I don't have this and I can't do this, or this is frustrating, or this is annoying, or could you believe this? And you're spending and wasting so much time. What would happen if you actually took the energy that you're spending doing all of that and you put it towards one thing that you actually could do that would get you a little bit closer to where you want to go?
Welcome to the She's Rooted podcast.
We're about to get real, unscripted.
So pull up a chair. Let's get to the root of it. What's up, Mo?
Hey, girl. Hey.
How is it going? Did you have a good weekend?
I did. Very good. How about you?
Great weekend. Busy weekend. We had some sunning, so we outside might look a little red.
That's nice.
Yeah, I burn first and then I tan it out. So
that's what we do here as well. We actually have sun today, so I'm very excited to get outside today.
Nice. I have a thunderstorm going on right now. Sideways rain. Unpredictable weather. Not fun. But all that to be said, I am really excited to chat it up today. We have a great topic. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome to the She's Rooted podcast. Mo and I love to keep it raw and real. We usually have a overarching topic and we see where it goes. No scripts. We just kind of roll. You get what you get. And Mo says you don't pitch a fit. And if you are coming on back, welcome. Welcome. Last week, what did we talk about, Mo?
Well, we did a lot of chatting about the morning, setting the tone.
Yeah.
Our days. I know I was talking about like when you enter into a room, or the women in my class when we come together, someone, being the one that's like, I'm just going to be confident and own who I am, and how that gives other women power to do the same. So it was fun. It was good last week.
Yeah, I love that. Protecting the peace and just showing up as your authentic self. I love how you always lead your class with that, like putting that umbrella mindset over, because so many of us just walk in and we less than like the things that we want to do because we get in our own way. For what? Why do we do that? So I think today's going to be really fun, kind of rolling in that same train, going about like protecting your peace and being fully yourself. And we came across something that I think is going to bring great conversation. I have a lot of different directions I feel like this can go. So I'm really excited to see where you take it. But it is believing in yourself doesn't mean you won't fail. It just means that you won't stop when you do. And I really like that. I'm big on mindset. You know this. I'm big on belief. And I feel like the only percent is 100% when it comes to that. Like you have to have that belief, or you need to work towards grabbing a hold of that 100% belief within yourself.
Yeah.
But believing in yourself doesn't mean you won't fail. It just means that you won't stop when you do. And I kind of want to break it a little bit too, just a little bit, but where does that take you?
This is kind of actually tricky. Like the more times you read it, the more different places I actually went in my head, because my first initial thought was, well, how do you know? Like, how do you classify this is something I should continue to push through because I believe in myself, or this is something I should not be doing? So that's the first place my head went.
Yeah.
And the second place my head went when you read it was, well, isn't in my head failure like that, when it was saying like you won't stop when you do fail, that is the like, how do I say this? In my head it went like, well, the only way to fail is to quit. So, but then I go back to the first thought, which is, but are you failing or are you quitting and pivoting? Like, I don't know. This got me all jacked up actually when you just read it.
Right?
It's like, wait a second, because I don't know. I'm excited to hear what you think, because now I've got questions. I've got so many questions now.
Hey, surprisingly, same page as you. The more you read it, the different like perspective path you want to walk down. And I'm with you on failing means that you quit. But sometimes quitting can mean that you're quitting and you're pivoting. There are things that you need to quit in life. So I don't know. I think that it definitely can go down a bunch of rabbit holes with this, and maybe it's good that it does, and maybe we follow it and see where it takes us. But believing in yourself doesn't mean that you won't fail. It just means that you won't stop when you do. To me, I kind of looked at it like, okay, so if you are looking at doing something for yourself and you know the reasons why you're doing it, and we talk about this all the time on this podcast on getting below surface level, like you have to have the mindset sometimes where you're met with your frustrations and you're met with like your anger about things, and you need to spin them in a good positive way, because that can cause you to go into action. and to, like, move yourself through it. But I do believe that when you don't quit on yourself, it is because you have a purpose worth fighting for. You have a purpose worth fighting through. Like if you look at, I posted today on my socials about this a little bit, and which is weird because I did that while I was drinking my coffee this morning, like just morning thoughts, and actually, I'll pull it up so I don't mess up my own my own words. But I posted something along the lines, having a reason bigger than your feelings will change everything. And I went on to talk about how motivation is not the key to consistency because that's going to fade. And I went kind of down the health line and talking about how, you have to get very specific about what you're protecting, and you have to look long vision on that. And when you can focus on let's say your health, if you can focus on the reason being more than, it's summer, I want to lose weight and, get healthy, but you break down, well, like that's never going to pull us through the hard days when the excuses come. That's where we're going to give up on ourselves because we haven't thought about the longevity of the reason behind why that's important to us. So I think that, like, for me, that kind of went hand in hand with this believing in yourself doesn't mean that you won't fail. It just means that you won't stop when you do. So how I kind of put that quote on my mindset the first time I read it, and it's probably because of what I wrote this morning, was more along the lines of it's because you know what you're fighting for. And to me, then I think about that guy from the Game of Thrones, and I can't think of his name, but he had this awesome speech that I'm sure many of us have come across on YouTube or TikTok, and he was talking about failing, and you have to fail better, and you have to fail again, and, like, you keep failing, and obviously, I butchered what he said because I think the last thing that he said was "fail better," and I think that that is when you can start chasing the things that are important to you in your life, you know why they're important to you, which then builds the confidence to have the belief so that you keep pushing yourself forward because it's worth something to you. That's kinda how I took it the first time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can relate to that because of my coffee situation I just had as you're talking about all this. You're like going really deep, and I'm like, wait a second, I just did this. But it wasn't my belief in myself. It was how bad I wanted to try this Instagram recipe that I actually failed, and coffee went all over my entire kitchen. My kitchen's a disaster, all over my clothes right before we did this podcast, in my hair, on my face, on the it's everywhere. And my OCD husband, who cannot stand a mess, walked in as it exploded everywhere. And I sat there and had to laugh, and he was very gracious and for some reason didn't even get mad. But then I sat there and I was like, well, I have to taste this though. We have to figure out a way to
Yeah.
still make this. That big fail is not going to stop me from having this. And so I persevered and made the coffee. So that falls along with what you're saying, where if you have a driver in your life, a motivation in your life, a vision. I love when you
I
have
love
a
that word.
vision. Like I had a vision of tasting this coffee. I know that's so cheesy compared to what you're talking about because you're talking
No.
about real life health stuff. But when you have a vision of what it is you want to taste, see, feel, experience in this life, I think that's a way better way to look at this quote in a grander scheme versus like these little minutia details, right? Because if you take like a little minutia goal, that the end goal vision of what you want out of life, the way that you want to experience it, the way that you want to live it, the way that you want to feel it, the way that you want to do it versus like I want XYZ to happen. And if it doesn't happen this way, that you know what I mean? Like that's a harder goal because you might fail and pivot and fail and pivot and fail and pivot, but you still end up with that long-term vision of how you want to live your life, right? Like I know that I attached myself to a company a while back and I had like this very specific like thought process on how this was going to pan out. And alongside of that, I also had this very specific dream, vision, goal of how I wanted to be a mother and how I wanted to live my life and how I wanted to experience those years. And what happened was this little minutia, like smaller goal didn't pan out the way that I wanted it to, but the bigger vision of life did. And it was, through different pivots, I had to fail and pick up and fail and pick up. So I can totally see it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like sometimes you hang on to the thing that in order to get to the end goal, you need to let go. And
Right.
it was always in the cards to let it go,
Right.
because if you were to hang tight onto something that was not supposed to be in this chapter, in this season, on this path, in the now of your life, and you're surrounding yourself with more frustration while you're hanging on to the thing, you're losing sight of, man, if I just like let it go, then this is where I'm supposed to be. And
Right.
that brings me back to, like, a podcast that we did on, like, the beginning starts of our journey together, rocking this out, and you painted a picture for everybody about walking upstairs, and you have these, like, luggages and these suitcases, and you're like, "Just put the damn luggage down." It's a
Yeah. Uh,
suitcases.
that alone word. That's such a word for everyone, I think, honestly. If you're listening today and you are just on the struggle bus, like that might just be a word for you. You are trying to climb up a set of stairs, or maybe you're trying to go next level. Maybe you got a mountaintop you're trying to reach, but you are just struggling. And the word is like, take a look at your hands and what are you carrying that you're no longer meant to carry, even if it was your past, like even if it was part of your history, like it can still be a part of your history, but it can remain at the bottom of the mountaintop. It doesn't have to go up with you. It doesn't have to be carried the whole journey with you. That's such a powerful word.
Yeah, so good, Mo.
Yeah. I think that's so timely for a lot of people. I don't know about you, Jamie, but I feel like a lot of people right now that you know, their inner circle or that you see or that you read stories of, like, are really struggling. Like, there's a lot of people struggling with, just anxiety, depression, loneliness, or like past experiences just weighing them down. And I think that's such a powerful reminder. Like, sometimes the things we're weighed down by are the very things we won't let go of. And if we just let them go, we could run.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there are a lot of people that in the now of life have that focus of hanging on to things for too long, or you have a past measuring stick that you're trying to create your now in, but that's a past, like a unicorn, basically, what I like to call things, you know? And it can really get in the way of putting stumbling blocks in front of you that weren't there. But because you thought of something or because you're hanging on to something that you shouldn't be carrying. I love how like, I literally just pictured you just putting it down at the end of the stairs so that you can
Yeah.
start climbing where you're
Yeah.
supposed to go.
Yeah, I think that goes with, like, experience. I think that goes with titles. A lot of us, even from childhood, you talk about things that shape your life, right? Like, I always say you're fearfully and wonderfully made on purpose for a purpose. Like, God knew you in your mother's womb, and He gave you a purpose, He gave you a name, like, all of that. But throughout life, experiences happen to us, and whether you were, like, bullied as a kid or maybe didn't have a great whatever, like, we start to identify with this like title that we've been given by somebody else or that we've given ourselves because of a situation or a circumstance, and you like hold on to this title and you're just carrying it with you like, well, I'm the embarrassing one, or I'm the burden, or I'm the whatever, like, and we're carrying it through through life. And it's like at some point maybe you look down and you go, why am I so that's not me. That was maybe like a phase or a season or a part of the story, but that's not the whole identity I need to carry with me further. I don't have to keep going with this?
Mhm.
So I
That's so
think
good.
it's a good word for all of that. And I think that when you can do that, like it really does, it goes along with what we're talking about because it allows you, again, like the vision that you have for your overarching life and how you want to live it is the most important vision. How you actually get there or how you actually do it doesn't necessarily have to be the most important part, right? Like my grandma always said, blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be broken. And I think like if you can walk through life like flexible too on actually how I do that, and you can let go of any, attachment to that, like, well, I have to be a this, or I had to do it this way, or this was my, life's like my biggest life's dream was to be a blah blah blah, and maybe it didn't pan out. Maybe you're sitting there and you're like freaking really pissed about it and you're wallowing in it and you're about to quit and you're about to give up because this, career didn't make it for you, or you always wanted to be a mom, and maybe that's not happening for you right now and you're about to quit. Like I think like we hold on to these things so tightly, and if we can let go of those and go back to the vision of like, but how do I want to experience this life? How do I want to taste it? How do I want to feel it? How do I want to be in it? And if I can get back to gratitude in the very moment I'm in right now, even though it's not perfect or it's not exactly how I envisioned it, and I can, walk forward and not quit and not give up, like you have to see what's on the other side, don't you? You know?
Yeah, you made me think about, do you remember the 3 lines that I talked about in the past? Where it's like where you were, where you are, and where you're going? And you have, like, where you were is at the bottom, like, if you were to get a piece of paper and you draw this out right now, and I got this from Stephen Furtick. I think that is his Furtick. Did I say that right? You know?
I don't know. I know who you're talking about, that
Yeah.
that teacher guy, pastor
Yeah.
guy.
So
I
I
don't.
got this from him years ago and I loved it because I think that sometimes when you are so focused on your more in life and chasing after the things that are exciting to you, you are really good in the grit and the grind. And a lot of us, like my personality, sucks at the grace sometimes. So then that gets into our own way of like our potential, right? So when it comes to where you were, he drew 3 lines on a piece of paper, and the bottom was where you were, and you go way up to the top of the paper, almost like above halfway, and that's where you are. And then from where you are to where you wanna go is not that much, right? So, he was talking about from where you were to where you are, that is like your gratitude gap, and you have to focus on that because that's it's really hard to be frustrated when you're grateful, right?
I don't think you can. I think it's almost impossible for you to be frustrated when you're in a
Right.
mindset of gratitude. Yeah.
Right. And then from where you are to where you want to go, a lot of us, especially knowing what we've known in our past and where we are now currently, we have a lot of frustration in that gap, like from where we are now to where we want to go because we feel like, oh, it's not happening, or we get in our way about it, or we start believing less in ourselves as we start pursuing things because things we're being hit with like a dead end, right? Whereas he talked about instead of that frustration gap, you need to turn it into a growth gap. There are things that like you need to do in order to get to where you want to go. And having a lot of gratitude for your past is what's going to help you realize, man, well, I seen how do I word this? I seen something across my weekend. It was talking about how the past version of yourself would be so happy to be where you're at because not everything, but a lot of the things that you used to dream for and a lot of things that you wished for, you're currently living. So when you look at that, it just why do we get so frustrated in the pursuit? Why do we give up on ourselves before we should throw a towel in? And sometimes calling a spade what a spade is important. So I don't know. So having the gratitude from where you were to where you are, and instead of frustration from where you are to where you want to go, like what is the growth? What are the things that I need to do to get to where I want to go?
Mhm.
Focus on those.
Mhm.
But yeah, believing in yourself more and showing up in those aspects in those pockets is only going to help you.
Yeah.
But failure, I have a hard time with this failure part in this whole quote because I am 100% with you. To fail means that you quit.
Yeah.
But then you peel that layer a little bit more. Some things you do need to quit because if you don't quit, you will fail.
Yeah.
It's like a weird thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It is so weird. So how do you know when you're ready
Maybe
to
it's not.
close failure? Like, all right, maybe it didn't fail. Maybe I just got what I needed to get out of it, and maybe I just outgrew it, and maybe I need to go grow somewhere else.
Yeah, but also maybe that's not the quote. Maybe failure doesn't mean to quit. Maybe it is actually, which I think it is the only surefire way to fail is to quit. Like quitting, like if you're going to fail, it means that you've given up before you even tried, or maybe you tried a little bit and then you're quitting. So you're most definitely going to fail.
Right.
So but failure isn't necessarily a bad thing, to your point. Like some
Right.
things you do need to fail at so that you can move to the next.
Right. It's a very I thought we were going one direction when I originally read it, and man,
Yeah, because it
does
makes
it
like, you have to
unpack
actually think. You have
does
to
it
really.
matter? Yes.
Yeah, because you do like I think the underlying meaning of that quote is that like if you have this vision, this goal, this dream, like, don't give up, right? Like, keep believing in your ability, and kind of along what you said too, like, you like, looking at where you came from to where you are now, like, you've already done hard things, keep going kind of thing, right? But the way the quote read, when you read it so many times in a row, I was like, "Hold on a second.
Right. Yes.
Wait just 1 minute."
Could take us back a couple episodes that we talked about. And this quote can have a lot of meaning in that scenario of my life when a rug got pulled out from underneath our feet. And we're at a point to where it's like, okay, what are we going to do next? And you grab a hold of your next and you realize it's not for you. It might be for other people, but it's not for you. But you stay there and you're less than in yourself because you're worried about what so and so might say, or if so and so's no longer gonna, want to be your friend anymore, however that would work out. And you end up just staying where you're at for no reason for yourself. That to me, I was setting myself up for failure because I was just standing over a broken passion and like fear of moving. Like, but then you have to look at, I needed to pick up belief back into my own self, into my own mindset, and I needed to put myself first again in the right way so that I can pivot towards what I knew was best for myself, my health, my four walls, my happiness, my future. And when you see yourself standing and stalling, to me, that could be failure. And you might not have thrown in a towel. You're not doing anything.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's the word failure that trips me up.
Don't fail yourself.
Because I also feel like, listen, if you're still on this podcast and listening to us ramble at this point, like, if we're all still breathing, like, there's still time. So there like, failure to me just feels like it's so definitive and, like,
Right.
it's done. You fail. No.
Game over.
Yeah. So I guess maybe that's the word where I'm like, I don't know, I'm, like, struggling with that one because I think that if we're still moving and breathing, like, we really truly failed yet? I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe we take this quote, Mo, and we make it our own and we break it apart. Because for me, if I were to look at this and if I have someone sitting across the table from me and they're trying to get up and out of their own way, right? And I'm looking at this quote for what it says and how it's written. To me, I would take that word failure and I would change it because I feel like it has more meaning in like a where it won't really shift your mindset on how this kind of went back and forth for both of us. And I feel like because we're like same mindset with a lot of things, but believing in yourself doesn't mean you won't fail. Instead of that, what about believing in yourself doesn't mean you won't, what would you put in there? Because for me, I feel like it doesn't mean that you won't get met with excuses or you won't get met with, I don't know,
You won't get stuck in the mud for
you
a
won't
hot
get
minute.
frustrated.
You won't get stuck for a hot minute, and then you're gonna have to, like,
Yeah.
shake the mud off your boots and keep going.
Right. I
Yeah.
think frustrated is the F word instead of fail. I think I would use frustrated because believing in yourself doesn't mean you won't get frustrated. It just means that you won't stop when you do. To me, that would be a quote I could wear and it could pull me through a lot of things because I believe so very much that I am who I am today because of the choices I made yesterday. That is Eleanor Roosevelt, favorite quote. It's behind me. Love it. And I really believe that you have to expect to get frustrated along the way. Anything that is easy to do is not always going to get you to where you want to go, right? Like you're going to be met with frustrations because we're living this life for the first time. We're chasing after that thing maybe for the first time in this way with this mindset. And if I would have stayed frustrated at over 200 pounds, it's easy for me to bring it back to my weight journey. I wouldn't be the mom that I am today. I wouldn't have the mindset that I have today. I wouldn't have the energy that I have today, or you know what I mean? I would still be living in that mindset that was holding me back because I
Right.
just gave into it. This is how it is. No, I believed that there was a solution waiting for me on the other side. And because I wanted to be the healthy mom that my two kids deserve, because I wanted to be the confident wife on date night, because I want to be like 60 years old and people are like, no freaking way. Like, I want to look like I'm 10 years younger. Like, I want to live life and protect my future. And that comes with a belief within yourself, within your journey, within your yes. And you have to be so rock solid in that, and you can't be swayed off of it because you know your worth. You know why you're doing what you're doing. You know the purpose behind it is worth pushing past the frustrations. So I love how we started this podcast, and I hate the word fail because I can't wear it now. Like I think that it makes it confusing on my mindset because it's like, wait a minute, I don't know. Because you want to like try to explain it, but then you have a perspective that's pulling you away from it. I think my effort's frustration. Now I am frustrated with this quote, and I'm
Correct.
gonna believe in myself that I'm gonna change it.
Yeah.
But what if you wore that one? Believing in yourself doesn't mean you won't get frustrated. It just means that you won't stop when you do.
Yeah. I think that works better
Fail.
than fail. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna cross it out. Quote fail. We're changing it. Frustrated. So, if you were to give somebody advice sitting across your table right now, they're frustrated with what? And what is your advice on pushing through?
They're frustrated with what?
Yeah, what? What are they frustrated? You have to say it because it would be what your mindset's gonna break through.
I don't know. I feel like if somebody's frustrated that's listening today, I think you've said it, like, in the quote. I think we just have to remember that, like, frustration is just it's a minute. It's a minute in the whole long game, right? Like, we're in it for the long race, we're in it for the long haul, like, a minute, which a minute in the grand scheme of things in life could be literally a minute, it could be a day, it could be a week, it could be a month. Like, I've had seasons of frustration that have lasted months around different circumstances that I've walked through. And it's the clinging to and knowing that that doesn't define the sum of your whole life. That doesn't define the sum of your whole current situation. There's something there that you can find to be grateful for in the midst of frustration, and that you promise yourself you're just going to keep stepping forward towards that vision that you do have, trusting and believing that, you are more than capable and that it's a matter of time, like it's just a matter of time. If you're doing the right things and you're walking forward with the right heart, the right motives, the right vehicle, the right people around you, and you're doing all of that, the things that you know in this time to be right, because that's a whole nother podcast, right? Like, we're all just doing the best we can at the moment with what we have. But if you're doing all of that, then I believe it's a matter of time that it's gonna pan out for you, and that you're gonna be able to get to where you're trying to go. And I think what we have to do along the way is count those blessings and look for the good along the way, because it is truly a journey. And yes, we all, like, let's not lie. We have destinations. We have, pit stops on our adventure that we want to see, that we want to do, that we want to feel, and those aren't bad to have. I agree that life's a journey, like, and that you got to enjoy the journey. It's not about the destination and blah blah. We've all heard that quote, like, yes, but also no, right? Like, when we hiked our 14ers, there was a destination. Get to the top of over 14,000 feet in Colorado and, like, see from the top. That's a destination. Like, did we take a journey to get there? Yes, but, like, we had a destination, and both are allowed to be there, and you're allowed to enjoy both. So I don't know, I just feel like you've been given today. So if you're listening, you've been given today. What can you do with the time that you have, with what you have currently, to get you one step closer to where you want to be? And that's the focus. You focus on what you can control. You don't focus on the things trying to drag you down. You don't focus on the voices around you telling you you can't. You don't focus on that. You focus on, what can I do today with what I have to get me to where I want to be? And that's what I'm going to do, because you waste a lot of time when you spin and swirl in the other place of, well, I don't have this and I can't do this, or this is frustrating, or this is annoying, or could you believe this? And you're spending and wasting so much time. What would happen if you actually took the energy that you're spending doing all of that and you put it towards one thing that you actually could do that would get you a little bit closer to where you want to go? What would happen if you did that today, and then if you chose to do that again tomorrow, and if you chose to do that again the next day, regardless of if you see fruit right away or not?
Right. What would happen? You don't know unless you stay consistent with it. That's so good. You made me think of that Steve Harvey thing where he was talking after one of his shows, and he was talking about you're standing on the cliff of life. Have you heard this? Have we talked about this?
I don't know.
He was talking about like you're standing on a cliff of life and you have like a backpack on, right? and you're looking at all of these people just soaring and they're living their dream and you're looking at it like, man, like look at them, but you're so afraid to like jump off that cliff. And he was talking about how, your parachute isn't going to open right away, and you need to expect that. But you also need to know that the people that you see soaring, their parachute also didn't open up right away. But yet you're standing on the cliff of life and you're watching them soar. You should expect your knees to get scraped up on the rocks, and you should expect to keep trying to jump towards what you are put on this earth to do and to show up fully in that and work through basically those frustrations along the way, because if it's worth the frustration. There is a different type of frustration when it comes to believing in your path and believing in what is your journey and what you're called to do. And I think when you look at that and you're looking at it wide view around your life and you ground yourself in the reasons why, that allows you to keep jumping off that cliff of life because you know where you're going. But yet you don't know what it's like on the other side. You just have this tug at your heart that God won't let go because you know that you know that you know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And when you can feel good about what you're doing in the pursuit of your greatness and the pursuit of your passion and the pursuit of your environment that you get to put around your life, if you feel good about it, why would you ever let the frustrations of the work towards that better? Why would you let the frustrations pull you back if you know that that is my life bubble of what I'm chasing? It was a really great segment that I came across on YouTube with him talking about it. And he's like, you got to live in your passion. He's talking about there's people that he knows that mow lawns for a living and they cut grass better than anyone could ever cut grass. And they are crushing it in that business. But we're so afraid. We're so afraid to bet on ourselves on so many things. And why? We didn't have these fears when we were growing up. Hell, we couldn't even walk when we when we were born. You know what I mean? But we
Mhm.
kept falling and we got back up. Talon used to hit his head all the time, and he turned his head the same way every time he fell. If you look at him now, if you pull up his hair, he's got like a little lump, but you are going to have scrapes, you're gonna have bruises, you're gonna have stumbling blocks that you are gonna have to choose to jump over. And if it's worth it to your life, then you're gonna do it.
Mhm.
And I think being 43 years old and walking through things that we haven't walked through, like you're all living this life for the first time. It makes you look at life differently the older that you get. And when you have these perspectives of things that you see, there was somebody saying something along the lines like, live your life now, because there are people that have been taken with unfinished plans and they're gone. And you're
Mhm.
here and you're worried about what? What are you worried about? You're worried about failure. We just changed the word for you. It's frustration.
Right.
You're gonna have it,
Yep.
but you're also gonna have happiness and all the other things in your life too.
Amen.
But Mo, alls I picture in this whole conversation is your painted vision of those damn stairs and the freaking luggage.
Yeah.
It's time to let some things go so that
Walk.
you could walk. Walk it out.
Walk it out. No, walk it out.
We are music in case
We
you
are music.
not
If
listen
you
to
didn't
it.
hear that episode, yeah.
That was fun. But yeah, believe in yourself. Choose to believe in yourself 1% more every single day. Get to that 100%. 'Cause if you don't believe in yourself, you're going to get in the way of your greatness. It's an inevitable is what I was trying to say. And it's so hard because if you look at everything that you've always done and you're unpacking your suitcase and you're like, but I need to take this with me and I need to take this with me and I need to take this with me and this is what I'm known for. Are you known for that because that's what you've chose to put out there into the world and you didn't put all the other things? And maybe you're in a different season of life. Maybe you need to be known for something else. I don't know.
Yeah.
Man, this was good. I like it. I
It's
like it.
it's really good.
It took us.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you want to add to this? If you feel like there's somebody on the other side listening that maybe we need to lean into one more little piece of perspective that they can put in their back pocket, or a question maybe that you have for them that maybe they can leave for us, that maybe we can continue a conversation a little further, or
No, but I think I would love to just invite that person, like, if there's anything I would love to see questions, comments, thoughts, join the conversation in the comments, and let's keep it going.
yeah, I love that because I feel like it's so hard, I think, nowadays, just how you said in the beginning of the podcast, how, there's a lot of people almost walking through things so alone and feeling a certain way. And sometimes it's hard because we live in such a social media world. And when's the last time you had like an eyeball to eyeball conversation? You know,
Mhm.
I would like to think sometimes like we're like your truth teller BFFs that sit across the table that will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, but we say it with the right heart because a lot of we've been through a lot and we get it and we got you. And sometimes it's hard because it's like you don't have these type of conversations in the day because you're waiting for the next day and you put everything off to the side that you'll get to later, not realizing that you're just jam packing your damn suitcase with unnecessary things. And then you're gonna have to pay Southwest for overage.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time or money for that.
You're not
So
doing that.
no. So yeah, believe in yourself doesn't mean you won't get frustrated. It just means that you won't stop when you do.
I like it.
I like it. I love it. I appreciate you. And yeah, don't give up on yourself. Stay rooted in the things that matter. That's what this whole podcast is about, building belief up through confidence in your own yes.
Exactly.
That's what matters. Do what you can with what you have, with where you are, is what you say, Mo. So, all right. Well, I think that's a wrap.
Yes, this is so good. Thank you.
I appreciate you. All
Thank
right,
you.
ladies. Until next time, Mo, what do we tell them?
Stay rooted, sis.
Stay rooted. All right. We'll see you. Bye.
We hope that landed.
If it did, share it up, drop a comment, and you know what? We'll see you on the next episode.
And until then, stay rooted, sister.